Hold on to your change because the next coin we're about to explore might completely redefine what you think a penny is worth. Billions were made, millions were spent, countless were forgotten in jars, drawers, and coffee cans across America. But hidden among them are coins so pristine, so rare in condition, that collectors are willing to pay hundreds and even thousands of dollars. Today in the Coins Numismatic Series, we uncover the surprising value, history, and hidden potential of one of the most misunderstood coins in American pocket change. 1964 Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. The year 1964 was a moment of transformation in the United States. The nation was navigating cultural change, economic growth, and political transition. Coinage was also under pressure. A nationwide coin shortage had begun to unfold as silver prices rose and hoarding increased. Although the Lincoln cent was still struck in copper alloy and not silver, it was part of a broader monetary system facing immense strain. The United States Mint responded by dramatically increasing production across its facilities to ensure that small change continued circulating. In 1964, Lincoln cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Unlike modern practices, Philadelphia coins during this era did not carry a mint mark, while Denver issues bore the familiar D beneath the date. Combined, the mintage numbers were staggering. Philadelphia struck over 2.6 billion Lincoln cents, while Denver added more than 3.7 billion. Together, that's well over 6 billion pennies produced in a single year. At first glance, numbers like that seem to eliminate any possibility of rarity. But as every serious collector knows, mintage is only part of the story. Survival in high-grade condition is what truly determines scarcity. The 1964 Lincoln cent continued the long-running obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln, originally designed in 1909 by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln faces right, with liberty to the left and the date to the right. Above his head is the motto, "I in God we trust." The reverse features the Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Centered is the Memorial Building, with United States of America and E pluribus unum above and 1 cent below. The Lincoln Memorial reverse created an interesting historical continuity. For the first time in American coinage, a president's portrait appeared on the obverse, while a monument honoring that same president appeared on the reverse. If you look closely at the memorial, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln seated inside the structure, making this one of the few U.S. coins to depict the same individual on both sides. Compositionally, the 1964 Lincoln cent was struck in 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. This heavy copper composition would continue until 1982, when rising metal costs forced a transition to copper-plated zinc. As a result, the 1964 penny represents part of the final era of solid copper circulation cents, adding to its long-term collector appeal. Now let's talk about condition rarity. Because billions were minted, most 1964 pennies entered heavy circulation. They were used daily, stored loosely, and rarely preserved carefully. As a result, finding worn examples is easy, and circulated coins typically trade for just a few cents over face value, often valued primarily for their copper content. But uncirculated coins tell a very different story. Mint-state examples with full red luster are significantly more desirable. Copper naturally oxidizes over time, turning from bright red to brown. Coins that retain their original red color designation are far scarcer than raw mintage figures would suggest. In mint state 63 or 64 red, a 1964 penny might sell for $10 to $25 depending on eye appeal. In MS 65 red, values can reach $30 to $75. The true premiums begin at the gem and superb gem levels. An MS 66 red example can command $100 or more. In MS 67 red, auction prices have reached several $100s. At the absolute highest certified grades, population reports show only a tiny fraction surviving in pristine condition, and these elite examples have sold for over $1,000 under competitive bidding. Strike quality plays a critical role in valuation. Many 1964 cents show average to slightly soft strikes due to high-speed production. Coins with crisp detail in Lincoln's hair and sharply defined columns on the memorial are especially sought after. Collectors also examine the steps and architectural lines of the memorial for clarity, as weak strikes can blur these features. Color designation remains one of the biggest value drivers. Brown coins are the most common and least expensive. Red-brown examples occupy the middle tier. Fully red coins, particularly those with blazing luster and minimal spotting, are the most valuable. Even small carbon spots can significantly reduce a coin's grade and market price. Now we move into the world of mint errors and varieties, where the 1964 Lincoln cent becomes far more exciting. One of the most discussed varieties is the 1964 double die obverse. While not as dramatic as some earlier doubled dies, subtle doubling can sometimes be observed in the lettering or date under magnification. Authenticated double die examples command strong premiums, depending on clarity and condition. Repunched mint marks are another collectible feature for 1964 cents. During this era, mint marks were punched manually into working dies. Occasionally, the mint mark was impressed more than once, creating visible doubling or slight offset impressions. These RPM varieties are actively sought by specialists and can sell for meaningful premiums over standard issues. Off-center strikes from 1964 are popular among error collectors. Depending on how far off-center the strike is and whether the date remains visible, values can range from $50 to several $100s. Broad strike errors, clipped planchets, and lamination errors are also known for this year, each carrying distinct collector appeal. There is also persistent discussion about special mint set, style 1964 cents. While official special mint sets were not introduced until 1965, a small number of unusually well-struck satin-finished 1964 coins have surfaced over the years. These coins display sharper detail and distinctive surfaces compared to normal business strikes. Their origins remain debated, but authenticated examples have commanded impressive prices in the collector market. Market demand for the 1964 Lincoln cent remains steady for several reasons. First, it is one of the last copper-heavy cents widely available. Second, it serves as a key building block for memorial cent collections. Third, it offers accessible entry points for beginners while still presenting elite condition rarities for advanced collectors. Another layer of interest comes from metal value. Because the coin contains 95% copper, its intrinsic metal content often exceeds 1 cent. While melting U.S. cents is prohibited by law, the copper composition provides a psychological value floor that zinc cents do not share. Roll searching and bulk lot purchases continue to produce 1964 pennies in uncirculated condition, particularly from old bank-wrapped rolls. However, as time passes, pristine red examples become harder to find. Environmental exposure, improper storage, and natural toning gradually reduce the number of high-grade survivors. Professional grading has further clarified scarcity at the top levels. Population reports reveal steep drop-offs beyond MS66 red, confirming that while billions were made, very few remain in superb condition. This dynamic fuels registry competition and sustained auction activity. From a historical perspective, the 1964 Lincoln cent stands at the edge of monumental change. Just 1 year later, in 1965, the mint would remove silver from circulating dimes and quarters and temporarily eliminate mint marks to discourage hoarding. The coin shortage crisis reshaped American coinage policy. In that context, the 1964 penny represents the final moment before a dramatic shift in modern U.S. coinage history. For collectors, that historical placement enhances its narrative appeal. It is both common and extraordinary. Ordinary in everyday circulation, yet extraordinary in top condition or rare error form. So what is the real value of a 1964 Lincoln penny? In worn condition, it may only be worth a few cents. In average uncirculated grades, perhaps a few dozen dollars. But in superb gem red condition with exceptional eye appeal, it can exceed hundreds or even $1,000. Add a rare double die, repunched mint mark, or dramatic mint error, and the value climbs even higher. The lesson is simple but powerful. Never judge a coin solely by its mintage. Billions may have been struck, but only a fraction survive in pristine condition. The 1964 Lincoln penny reminds us that rarity can hide in plain sight, waiting for the trained eye to recognize its true potential. And that is the enduring magic of numismatics. A single cent, born in an era of change, carrying the portrait of a president and the image of his memorial, traveling through decades of American life. Sometimes ordinary, sometimes extraordinary. Always a piece of history worth a closer look.